Welcome back, parents and teachers. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use these sail cars to teach a lesson on forces in motion. So stay tuned. In a previous video, I showed you step by step how to build these sail cars. And so today, like I said, I'm going to show you how I use them in a lesson, and that way it can help with your students in the future. The lesson begins when the students are ready. I usually have a warm-up or something like that for them to do and keep them busy and get them in a learning frame of mind. They have usually already heard that we're going to do sail cars, and so they're usually pretty excited when they come in the door. And I usually have a sample car built already for them to see, so that they can see that it's not impossible to build one. But I also tell them that they cannot copy my car exactly. They have to build their own car. Once I've got them in teams of 2 to 4, I will give them a prepared baggie. It's got 7 straws, 4 lifesavers, and 1 sheet of typing paper. And I also give them 1 meter of Scotch tape. And we'll get to that in a minute. The straws. The straws are kind of concerning. When I first started teaching this, you could get the straight straws fairly easy. Now, pretty much all that you're going to get is the flexible straws. That can be a benefit for a student, and it can be a detriment for a student. It depends on how they use the flexibility of the straw. On this particular one, I had a very difficult time with the flexibility of the straws right here. It could also have problems with the flexibility of the straws involving the alignment of the wheel. But on this particular car, I cut the flex part of the straw off and was able to build a good car without having to worry about the flex. How you frame the flex straw situation is up to you. As far as the lifesavers go, you want the mint lifesavers. If you get the candy type lifesavers, the cherries or stuff like that, they get very sticky. The mint lifesavers don't get sticky like the candy ones do. So peppermint, spearmint, whatever's on sale is fine. You buy the lifesavers by the bag, and a bag will last you for years. So it's a one-time purchase as long as you're not letting the kids take them home or dropping them on the floor. Usually we will scavenge the recycled parts off of them and store them up for the next year. As I have them put their team number on the sail before they tape it on the car, because once they tape it on the car, they have a hard time riding on this thing. So please make sure they put their team number or some sort of identification on this so that they know that it's their car before they race. The way I frame the lesson is you will have 25 minutes to work with your team to build a car powered by wind, and you can only use these supplies and 1 meter of tape, Scotch tape. Students really get excited. You have the overachieving students that want everything to be perfect, so I usually have to frame to them that this is straws, lifesavers, and Scotch tape and paper. It's not going to be perfect, so you're going to have to let that go. Also, on these particular type of challenges, you will get the guys to be very aggressive and try to push the girls out of the way. And so I will intentionally address that as well. Girls, you have every right to work on this car as well. Boys, you have to let the girls work on this car. I want it to be equal. I don't want one gender over the other, but I do want everybody to have an opportunity to have a part in this. Then I will open the floor to questions. They'll typically ask me, can we use anything else? No. Can we use scissors? Yes, you can use scissors. Can we eat the lifesavers? No. I just noticed this particular lifesaver is cracked. When you give them the lifesavers, please make sure that you give them 4 good lifesavers. I do tell them about the lifesavers, that if you drop one and you crack it, that's all you get. Now you have a tricycle. If you drop 2, that's all you got. And you have a bicycle. I tried to counsel to the students to put the lifesavers on last. I want them to put the lifesavers in the middle of the table, on the table, and leave them alone, because the kids would pick them up and play with them and drop them, and then it upsets the whole team. So I typically tell them to put the lifesavers in the middle of the table, leave them alone, wait till you're ready to put the lifesavers on the car, and that's the last thing that goes on the car is the lifesavers. And you put the lifesavers on the car on top over the table in case you drop it. So I want to make sure that they get 4 good wheels out of the deal. After you've opened it up for questions for a few minutes, then I will ask one volunteer from each team to come up and get their Scotch tape. They get 1 meter of Scotch tape, and they have to measure it and they have to cut it. And so they can take their 1 meter over and stick it to the table, one end of the table, and then they can use their scissors to cut out little pieces. Normally, a team will not even use 1 meter of Scotch tape. That's a lot of Scotch tape for something like this. Your segments of tape are usually going to be cut down into 3 to 6 centimeters, and they're just not going to use a lot of tape on this thing. If they're using a lot of tape, then they're doing something wrong. You'll notice I don't limit them on the shape of the sail. I built one very simplistic. I also built one a little bit more complicated with a curled sail. And this is built with only a half sheet of paper. And this car will actually outperform in this car. Now, the fun stuff comes whenever you're finished building it. Everybody stops at the same time. And we're gonna race exactly what we've got built. Now, I've run lots of races and these are fun. So what we have to have is a student volunteer that's going to blow the car. You're gonna have to have somebody that's gonna work hard for the team. So you may have to make a judgment call on that if there's a disagreement on the team of who's gonna blow the car. What's gonna happen is you will line the cars up on a starting line in a hallway. I'll usually put a piece of masking tape down for a starting line. And the student will get on the floor on their hands and knees. When I say go, they will blow the car as fast as they can for 10 seconds. Now, if they touch the car, then the race stops. At the end of the 10 seconds, the team has to measure how many centimeters the car traveled. The cars that traveled the longest win the race. And if I have small enough teams and I have enough time, I'll run 2 heats on each car, and then they'll have to do some averaging. So we have some math involved in this. If I have the time, we may re-engineer the car. After you've raced them a couple of times, you collected data, I'll give the kids a report, and I'm gonna give you a copy of my report and a link down below, and you can have it for free, and I hope it'll help you with your lesson with your kids. And then we can rebuild it, re-engineer it. I may give them more straws, or they may have to cut the tape apart, and I give them another meter of tape, and they have to take the parts and rearrange them and rebuild their car to perform better. If I have a second day, we'll race the cars again, maybe 2 heats each, and decide who's the champion. And then I may even race between class periods to find out who's the champion of the grade level that I'm teaching. There might be a 3D printed medal or some sort of trophy or award that's given at the end of the year to the fastest car. One of the arguments at the end of class, at the end of this session, is who gets to keep the car. Well, the cool thing is I get to keep the car. So I will recycle all the parts that I can. And that would be mainly any kind of uncut straws. We'll cut the tape off of them, clean them up, try to recycle the straws and the lifesavers. As far as lessons go with this, I've used this as a icebreaker. I've also used it as a team building exercise, and I've used it for a full-blown STEAM lesson or a STEM lesson. As far as the science part goes, this is involving push and pull, force and motion, friction causing it to slow down, the force of the wind causing it to go forward. You could also, for the math segment, you could measure the mass of it, you could measure the length and width of it, you could measure the height of it, you could also measure how much force it takes to get it to move by using a spring scale. As far as the engineering process goes, you could have a second iteration where you build the second design of this car and compare the 2 designs to see which one was the better. As far as the technology goes, that's where I like to use video cameras, or they type a report on the computer, or they use a green screen video and make a video presenting their car in the good and the bad, the pros and the cons about their car. As far as if you wanted to include art, you could include the best looking car and have a People's Choice Award for the best looking car, the most raciest looking car, something like that, as voted on by the students. So as you can see, this is a very versatile assignment for the students, and they really, really, really like to do this assignment. It's that easy, parents and teachers. I hope you learned something from this lesson. If you like what you see, please subscribe so you can see the next lessons that I teach. Thank you for watching, and good luck.